Welcome to the Fire of God, where we dive deep into the mysteries of faith, purpose, and the incredible journey God has set before each one of us. I'm so excited you're here because today's message isn't just any message. It's one that could completely transform the way you view your life and your purpose. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like there's something greater calling you? But no matter how hard you search, you just can't seem to find the way. That longing deep inside you, that yearning for something more. But the path seems so unclear. What if I told you that the key to unlocking your deepest longing, your God-given destiny, is not far off at all? It's already in your hands, just waiting to be discovered and unlocked. I know, it sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? But here's the truth. Many of us walk through life feeling lost, wondering if we've missed something, wondering if we're ever going to reach that true calling we were meant for. But what if I told you something you might not have realized yet? What if I told you that you were chosen by God before you were even born? That's right. You were chosen by God to fulfill a divine purpose. This message isn't just a motivational speech or a feel-good message for the masses. This is a direct invitation for you. Yes, you. The one who has that quiet whisper in your soul, that stirring deep within your heart telling you, there is more. You might have ignored it, you might have brushed it off, but it's there. And today, I'm going to help you awaken to it. If you've ever wondered whether there's something more to life than what you're living now, something that's deeper, something that's part of a greater plan, stay with me until the very end, because I promise you, today, I'm going to reveal the hidden key to unlocking your God-given destiny. And trust me, it's not what you expect. Before we go any further, I encourage you to do something powerful right now. Hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and drop a comment below. Share your thoughts, your doubts, or your dreams. Trust me, you are not walking this journey alone. Together, we are part of a much larger story. And it's time to step into the next chapter of that story. Are you ready? Let's uncover the hidden key that will change everything for you. Let's open the pages of God's Word, for within them lies the map to your destiny. A map that's been written long before you ever took your first breath. In Jeremiah 29:11, God gives us a beautiful promise. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. These words, though spoken to the Israelites in a time of exile, are not bound by time. They're a promise that stretches far beyond history. This promise is for you. God has plans for your life. He has a future prepared for you, a future that is filled with hope and prosperity, a future that is good, and one that He has been carefully crafting for you since before time began. But here's the pressing question that so many of us ask. If God has already laid out a perfect plan for our lives, why does it feel like we're wandering? Why does it often feel as though we're walking in circles, trying to find our way and struggling to see the purpose that God has set before us? For many of us, life feels like a maze, a confusing labyrinth with no clear direction. We put in the work, we dream big, we strive for success, But no matter how hard we try, something still feels off. There's a gnawing feeling deep within, as if we're missing something vital. We ask ourselves, is this really the life I was meant to live? Is there a higher calling for me? If you felt that emptiness or restlessness in your heart, you're not alone. You're not the only one wondering if there's more to your story. In fact, this is a universal experience for many of us. We sense that there's a divine purpose, a calling that we've yet to fully grasp. And perhaps, just like the people of Israel in their time of exile, we're looking around and wondering, where is the promise God has made to me? The truth is, God's plan for us isn't always visible at first glance. Sometimes it's hidden beneath the surface, waiting for us to look deeper and trust Him to reveal it at the right moment. And this can be frustrating. We want to know our purpose. We want clarity. We want to be certain that we're walking in the right direction. But often, it's in the midst of confusion that God reveals Himself most powerfully. To illustrate this, let's take a look at the story of King David, God's chosen leader, anointed to be the future king of Israel. Yet David's journey was anything but simple. In fact, it was filled with rejection, doubt, and confusion. When God sent the prophet Samuel to anoint the next king, Samuel went to the house of Jesse, David's father. As the sons lined up, each one taller, older, and seemingly more qualified than the next, Samuel was sure that one of them must be the chosen one. But God spoke to him, saying, "Do not consider his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." 1 Samuel 16:7. David, the youngest of his brothers, was overlooked and underestimated. He wasn't even considered worthy enough to be called in from the fields when Samuel arrived. Yet, while the world saw a young insignificant shepherd boy, God saw a king in the making. God saw the man who would defeat Goliath, unite Israel, and be called a man after God's own heart. David's story is a powerful reminder that God doesn't see things the way we do. He doesn't look at our outward circumstances, our age, our experience, or even our past mistakes. God looks at the heart, and He knew that David's heart was aligned with His will. Maybe you're in a similar place right now, feeling overlooked, uncertain, or insignificant. You may be questioning your worth, wondering if you're truly chosen for something greater. But let me tell you this: God has chosen you. You may not see it now, but His hand is upon you. He has called you for a purpose that is far greater than you can imagine. Just like David, you may feel like you're just another face in the crowd, unnoticed and unimportant. You may be in a season where it feels like your dreams are distant and the road ahead is unclear. But I want you to hear this today. You are not overlooked. You are not forgotten. You have been chosen for a divine purpose. There is a calling upon your life that has been in the making since before the foundation of the world. God has been preparing you, molding you, and equipping you for something incredible, even when you can't see it. You may be facing challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt. But all of these are part of the journey God is using to refine you for what lies ahead. Now, you might be wondering, how do I step into my destiny? The first step is recognizing that God's calling is real, and it's already written in your life. Just like He called David from the pasture to the palace, He is calling you to step into the purpose He's designed just for you. And the key to unlocking that destiny is faith. Faith in God's timing, faith in His plan, and faith that His promises are true. David didn't become king overnight. It was a long journey, filled with challenges, battles, and moments of uncertainty. But through it all, he trusted in God's purpose for his life. And so must you. I challenge you to trust that God is at work in your life, even when you can't see it. He is shaping you, preparing you, and leading you to the very place you're meant to be. Just like He raised David from the field to the throne, He can raise you from where you are to the purpose He has set for you. So today, take a moment to reflect on God's promise to you. Know that He has a plan for your life, a plan to prosper you, a plan to give you a hope and a future. Trust that He has already gone ahead of you, making a way where there seems to be no way. And when you step into that purpose, your life will be a living testimony of the greatness of God's calling. Remember, you have been chosen, and your destiny is waiting for you. Let's walk into it together, with faith, courage, and hope. Now that we've explored God's promise and calling for your life, it's time to dive deeper into the hidden key, the one thing that has the power to unlock your God-given destiny. Understanding the hidden key, unlocking your destiny. What if the key to unlocking your true destiny doesn't lie in your own power, in how hard you work, or in how much control you think you have over your life? What if the most powerful, life-changing key you've been seeking is not something that can be earned or achieved by your own strength, but rather in your ability to fully surrender to God's will? It's natural to believe that we must fight, strive, and endlessly push forward to make our dreams a reality. We set goals, we work tirelessly, and we try to create our own path. But let me ask you, how often have you felt like you're running on empty? Like you're putting in all the effort but still feel unsatisfied? Have you ever felt like you're running in circles, even though you're doing everything right? This frustration is a signal that we might be trying to control too much. We might be holding on to things that God never meant for us to carry. What if I told you that the most profound transformation in your life, the key to unlocking your true divine destiny, isn't found in holding on tighter, but in letting go? What if the way to the life you've been longing for is to surrender it all into the hands of the one who created you, the one who sees the full picture? Consider the story of Moses. Here was a man who, at one point, was terrified and uncertain, unsure of his ability to lead millions of people out of Egypt. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't an influential leader in the eyes of the world. He was a shepherd, a humble man, living in the wilderness. Yet God called him to something unimaginable. God didn't ask Moses to come up with a perfect plan. He didn't ask him to have it all figured out. God asked Moses to trust him. God asked Moses to surrender his fears, his doubts, and his limited vision. And Moses did. He stepped forward in faith, one step at a time. with no map and no guarantee of success except God's promise to be with him. That act of surrender, of trusting God, even in the face of uncertainty, was the hidden key to Moses' destiny. That surrender didn't just change Moses' life, it changed the entire course of history. The Israelites were freed from bondage, and Moses became one of the greatest leaders in history. His destiny was unlocked not through his own efforts or capabilities, but through his willingness to say, "God, I trust you. Lead me." And the same applies to you. God's destiny for your life is not locked behind your own striving. It is unlocked through surrender, through trusting that His plan is greater than anything you could envision. When you let go of the need to control every step, you free yourself to walk in the flow of God's perfect will. His plans are greater than yours, and when you surrender to them, He will lead you to places you never dreamed possible. Deep dive into personal transformation. Personal transformation is not a quick fix or a one-time event. It's a continual journey, one that unfolds day by day, step by step. It's not about instantly becoming someone new. It's about being willing to submit your will to God's, allowing Him to shape you into the person He created you to be. Transformation starts with surrender, but it doesn't end there. Surrender opens the door to a process, a refining process that often feels uncomfortable, but is always worthwhile. It's a process where God reshapes your heart, your character, and your very identity. And along the way, you'll face moments of challenge and growth. Personal transformation requires that we be open to change, open to becoming who God has always seen us to be. One of the most powerful examples of personal transformation in the Bible is the story of Saul, who became the Apostle Paul. Saul was a man driven by pride, consumed by his own self-righteousness, and filled with anger toward the early Christians. He believed he was doing God's work, but his vision was clouded by his own ambitions. Then, on the road to Damascus, everything changed. Saul had an encounter with God that completely changed the trajectory of his life. He was blinded by a light from heaven, and he heard a voice calling out to him, "Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me?" Acts 9:4. In that moment, Saul's entire world was turned upside down. But it wasn't just about physical blindness. It was a spiritual blindness that had kept him from understanding God's true calling for his life. After this encounter, Saul didn't just continue on as if nothing had happened. He was transformed. In Acts 9:6, Saul asks, "Lord, what do you want me to do?" This question was not just a plea for help. It was the moment of surrender. The moment when Saul's life began to change forever. He stopped living for his own agenda. He stopped living for his own understanding. He asked God what he wanted Saul to do. And in that simple act of surrender, Saul began his transformation. Saul's transformation didn't happen all at once. It was a process. He had to go through many trials, struggles, and seasons of refining. But that moment of surrender marked the beginning of his journey into becoming the Apostle Paul, the man who would take the gospel to the ends of the earth and write much of the New Testament. Through that process of surrender and transformation, God revealed His greater purpose for Paul's life. And the same transformation is available to you. Just like Saul, you may be living with blindness, spiritual blindness, or a limited view of who you truly are and what God has called you to. You may be struggling with pride, fear, doubt, or a sense of unworthiness. But just like Paul, God is waiting for you to ask, "Lord, what do you want me to do?" It's in that question of surrender that the door to transformation swings wide open. And when you allow God to take the lead, you will begin to see the incredible transformation that He has for you. Transformation is a process, and it doesn't happen overnight. It's about daily choosing to trust God, to surrender to His plan, and to let Him reshape your heart and life. This process might feel slow at times, but trust me, God is at work. Each day that you surrender your will to His, you are one step closer to becoming the person He created you to be. Revelation of the hidden key, unlocking your destiny. The hidden key to your destiny is something far simpler than we often realize. Yet its power is profound: obedience to God's call. It might seem too simple, even too easy, right? But the truth is, obedience is the most transformative act you can ever make in your life. It's the secret to stepping into a life beyond your wildest dreams. When you obey God's call, you step into the extraordinary purpose He has set for you. But here's where many of us go wrong. We think that obedience is just about following a set of rules or trying to be good enough. We think obedience is about going through the motions, checking things off a list, and doing what's expected. But true obedience is so much more. It's about the heart. It's about surrendering your own plans, your own desires, and fully trusting in God's vision for your life. God doesn't want us to follow Him out of obligation. He wants us to follow Him out of a deep, unshakable trust. God is asking you to believe that His plan for your life is better than anything you could dream up on your own. Think about it. When you trust Him with everything, your past, your present, and your future, you are opening the door to a future that is more fulfilling, more powerful, and more amazing than you could have ever imagined. God's wisdom is infinite, and our understanding is limited. So when we let go of control and choose to trust His plan, we align ourselves with a divine purpose that is far greater than anything we could have ever achieved by relying on our own strength. The hidden key is obedience, and when you walk in that obedience, your life will begin to unfold in ways you can't yet fathom. Application of the hidden key: walking in obedience. Now let's take this a step further. I want you to ask yourself one powerful question today. Am I truly willing to surrender fully to God's plan for me, no matter how unconventional, uncertain, or even uncomfortable it may seem? We all like the idea of following God's plan when it aligns with our desires, when it makes sense, when it feels good and easy. But let's be real for a second. What happens when God's plan challenges us?